Hello everybody, Yabby Tabby here with more RubbleClan. If this is your first time here, I recommend checking out the description for a link to year 1, because this is going to be a series, so you are already behind. There's also a link to HoundClan's video, which is a clan in the same universe as RubbleClan that will also be getting another episode in the future, so if you like these videos, make sure to check out that one as well. But now it's time for year 2, and oh boy is this a fun one. I have to admit, I was a little nervous going into this because RubbleClan was the first clan I made and it didn't grow nearly as much as the other 3 did in the first year, so I was very attached to all the cats and I didn't want any of them to die. I was terrified about having a bunch of them die, but thankfully most of the drama comes from elsewhere. Unfortunately, we still did have a couple deaths, so let's get started with the new cats of StarClan. Our first StarClan cat is the fierce Bubbling Tumble, who died only a few moons into the year. She and Silk Creek had gone on a hunting patrol when storm clouds rolled in and it was pretty nasty. They got separated along the way and Bubbling Tumble fell down a steep embankment. By the time Silk Creek found her and could get help to pull her up, she was soaked to the bone and covered in mud. Unfortunately, she never really recovered and died from frostbite soon after. I was really heartbroken. Bubbling Tumble's design was also one of my favorites I'd made, and I wanted to draw it for a lot longer. She's also our first death, and even though she isn't a clan founder, she was still a big part of the clan, and a great friend to all who knew her. She had big dreams of getting an apprentice, and she never got a chance to confess to Peachstar before her death. In StarClan, she's been a little lonely considering the only other cat there was Furzbreeze for a long while. She did find a friend in him, but she still misses her living friends and wishes she was still alive. It took her a few moons before she was curious enough to start exploring StarClan, and to look over on her clan once more. She was shocked at how quickly life seems to move from StarClan, and vowed to watch them as closely as she could and keep them safe as well. She's been happily acting as a StarClan guide for the newest Medicine Cat apprentice at Half Moon meetings, as she has far more knowledge than she did when she was alive, including knowledge about the other clans who thrive nearby. Our second and thankfully last StarClan cat of the year is the childish Rustfeather. He was one of Dashnudge's 4 kits from last year and was only a warrior for a few moons before he died of white cough. I was shocked because at the moment we have 4 medicine cats and plenty of herbs, so I think he may have just had a weakened immune system and the Sleef Bear was too hard on him. But I also got a prompt in the relationship tab that Dashnudge thought he wasn't taking his health seriously, so it could have also been that he just pushed himself too hard during Leaf Bear and his body couldn't take it. But let's not focus on his death, let's talk about his life. He was an active kit who tended to play fight a little too hard and whined whenever he had to eat herbs from the medicine cat. He was apprenticed to Flaxheart and adored her. On his first patrol, he caught a mouse. He was super proud of himself and delivered it straight to his dad, and then bragged for days afterwards until his siblings dragged him and his nest out of the den and threatened to make him sleep outside if he didn't stop. He was also super excited after his adoptive brother and his mentor became mates and had kits, and volunteered for nursery work anytime he could. He thought the kits were adorable and was more than happy to be an uncle, and then even happier when his father got a mate as well. His excitement and dedication paid off as he was the first of his siblings to get their warrior name and was always excited for his next patrol. His death came as a shock to everyone, as he was fine and patrolling just the moon before. The illness caught everyone off guard. He was heartbroken to have died so young, but happy to see Bubbling Tumble and meet Furzbreeze, who he had heard stories about. Although he's still adjusting to StarClan, he plans to keep an eye on his clan and his family, as he wants them to keep going and keep being happy, even if he's not there beside them. In fact, he hopes they take as long as possible to get to StarClan. He wants them to live the fullest lives they possibly can before they reunite. Only 2 deaths this year, but both of them hurt my heart for different reasons. But at least it was only 2, like I said, which means we can move on to our living cats next. Starting with Peachstar. She's had a bit of a crazy year. Starting with the beginning, when in early morning she was talking to her deputy, and a hawk swooped down and tried to fly away with her. Unfortunately, it chose a bad clan to mess with, as there were plenty of cats on higher points of the mountain camp who were easily able to jump and attack the hawk. It dropped Peachstar and she lost a life from the injury. A lot of cats felt guilty they couldn't stop her from losing one, but she just told them all she preferred her losing a life over them losing one, because she had plenty more to spare. Plus, the hawk fed plenty of cats after they took it down. So she's down to 7 lives, but she's not too worried. She knows that she'll always be there to protect her clan, and they'll always be there to protect her for as long as her 7 lives last. Aside from her second death, she's been having a great year. She's gotten to watch the clan grow, with plenty of kits and a few cats finding mates, including herself near the end of the year. You may be able to guess who it is by looking at her photo, but we'll get to that later. She's led several patrols and thrown herself into the thick of battle, even leading a dog away from the territory and searching for the king of rats. She's still as compassionate and sweet as ever, too, and very protective of her clan. She's also befriended a kitty pet named Ace, who almost joined the clan but then decided against it. Maybe because of the hawk thing, who knows. But he lives on the mountain with his 2 legs, and she likes to visit him sometimes. She's also fought off some rogues, settled disputes on patrol, and took on one of Skymoss's kits as an apprentice. She is super proud of how much her clan has grown, and even though she knows she's getting older, she plans to take care of her clan for as long as she can. This sentiment is very much returned, as most cats in her clan look up to her a lot, and she continues to inspire love and loyalty throughout her clan. Second up is Swallowmallow, who is starting to grow more confident in his role as deputy. While he was still thoroughly embarrassed by his messy job as a deputy and a mentor in the first year, he pushed himself to work harder and found his stride in teaching. He got to see Flaxpaw become a warrior, and he's super proud of her, although there's still a bit of awkwardness between them after the mess they went through together in year 1. That tension is starting to melt away after he and Dashnudge helped her and another cat with something, more on that later. He still worries sometimes about what others think of him as deputy, though, but he's really found his confidence after he, Peach Star, and a few others chased off a gang of rogues. He's taken charge of plenty of patrols since then, mainly hunting patrols, where he helps with chasing off foxes and keeping an eye on 2 legs near the mountain. Peach Star's second death really shook him with how sudden it was, and with all the new kits in the camp, he quickly came up with the idea for some cats to take turns watching the skies in the clearing and keep an eye out for more hawks. He knows that if a hawk tries that again, a cat without 9 lives may be the one caught, and he doesn't want that at all. The more reckless cats in the clan can call him nervous all he wants, but he'd rather be careful than be sorry. Other than that, he's taking this year a little slower. He's let the younger cats take on the bulk of the apprentices and is focusing more on his deputy duties first and foremost. While he is a good teacher, he doesn't exactly like teaching. Maybe a second apprentice will change his mind, but he is perfectly content to let the warriors of the clan handle that responsibility for now. Now on to our medicine cats. Let's start with Skymoss, who has not exactly had the best year. The beginning of the year was great for her. She had her kits and she adores them. Motherhood is tough, but she wouldn't trade her kits for anything. Her guilt over being unable to help Glowfalcon due to said kits has faded, thankfully, as with Blue Ear's help, all of the cats survived the sickness outbreak, and she was able to focus on her children without any regret. Unfortunately, the rest of the year has kinda sucked. She's been really unlucky. A falling branch landed on her tail and left her kinda stuck in the medicine den for a while, but eventually she recovered, only for another branch to fall and crash onto her tail. She's still recovering from that, and when asked about the incident, she can't help but laugh at the ridiculousness of it all. She's getting a little bit stir-crazy at this point. Though the clan is her permanent home, she wants to go out and explore the mountain and find cool new herbs, and she was already stuck for 6 moons in the nursery, and now she's stuck again because of the branches. She really wants to go outside, but you know, they need their tails for balancing and jumping on the rocks, so she really shouldn't risk it at the same time. But she's about to claw her own tail off if it means she could get out of camp for a while. On the right side, she's gotten to see one of her kits decide to follow in her paw steps in becoming a medicine cat, and is so proud of her and her other kit as well for all the hard work they're putting in. She hopes she can recover in time for their ceremonies, as she wants to celebrate by showing them the coolest spots on the mountain to relax and find cool herbs. But until then, she'll deal with her situation and help out the other healers the best she can, without hurting her tail more than it already has been. Plus, as long as she's in a den, she doesn't have to worry about branches. Next up is Glowfalcon, the head medicine cat, who is feeling a lot better than last year. He's relieved that all the sick cats from year 1 survived, but was very shaken by the death of Bubbling Tumble and Rustfeather. He's no stranger to death. He's been a healer and seen death far from before he joined the clan, but he's never been so close to so many cats before. It's kinda scared him. He's tried backing away from the clan and avoiding people, but Blue Ears wouldn't let him isolate himself and practically manhandled him into spending time with her and the other cats. With Skymoss now in the medicine den, she's also made sure to keep an eye on him. He appreciates their efforts, but still does enjoy his privacy now and then. He patrols alone and likes it that way, a moment away from all the chaos. It's also helped him come to terms with his feeling for Dashnudge, who is now in love with someone else. It hurt, but Dashnudge is still a very close friend, and Glowfalcon is perfectly fine with that. His job does help keep him busy. Although he is getting rather grumpy because every time he turns around, he swears to StarClan that one kit manages to sneak into the medicine cat den. Yeah, he still doesn't like kits. Still, even with his dislike, he enjoys the sight of happy, healthy kits because it's a sign that their clan is growing and thriving, which helps him find even more passion and love for his job and his clan. He hopes to see the clan grow even more in the future, but if one more kit gets into his herb stores and eats all the raspberries, he's gonna lose it. Next up, we have the loving Blue Ears. While she is trained as both a medicine cat and a warrior, she spends most of this year in the medicine den. At first, it was to take care of the ill cats, then she stayed due to Sky Moss being in the nursery, and later because of her curse of falling branches hitting her tail. Finally, she stayed after Sky Moss's kit, Piper Kit, decided to become a medicine cat. Peach Star was hesitant because Sky Moss shouldn't mentor her own kit, and Glow Falcon's only ever tolerated one young cat, and that was Blue Ears. So she decided to stay in the medicine den for a little longer to take on Piper Paw as her own apprentice. The beginning of their training was rough because every herb they tried to search for seemed to be eaten or dead, but Blue Ears was optimistic, especially with a whole mountain to explore. Eventually they found their stride and she discovered she really likes teaching. She loves seeing the light in Piper Paw's eyes when she understands something difficult or learns something new, and it makes her purr with pride every time. She's hoping that she may be able to train another apprentice, especially if she could train a warrior apprentice to use both her skill sets. Unfortunately, she also experienced heartbreak this year. CindherClint began acting awkward and secretive, avoiding Blue Ears and others despite how close they had been in the past. Then one day, her best friend and secret love returned to the clan after several days with kits. Blue Ears had never felt so sad. She knew she was never entitled to CindherClint's love, and she never confessed, so it's not like CindherClint could have known, but they were also best friends. They grew up together. They'd been through everything, through thick and thin together. Why hadn't CindherClint entrusted her with this? She's a little shaken and unsure by all of it, but she's tried her best not to show it. She has instead been giving Piper Paw all her attention, as the young cat has a lot to learn. She's also doing her best to not take it out on CindherClint or the kids. She's a loving cat and doesn't want to lash out like that. She knows it's not their fault. The kids adore her, and CindherClint is happy to have her as a babysitter. Her teaching job and the many kits in the clan do give her joy, but her heart still aches for what could have been. Finally, drawn here with her mentor, we have the medicine cat apprentice Piper Paw. She showed an interest in herbs and StarClan from a young age and was one of the kids who broke into the medicine den a lot, which led to her getting nipped on the rump a few times by the grumpy head medicine cat. But eventually, he and Blue Ears noticed that, unlike the other troublesome kits, she was more interested in watching them work and examining the herbs rather than eating them or causing a ruckus. They indulged her, and she was quickly drawn in by Blue Ears' kindness and enthusiasm, which made her even more excited when that very cat became her mentor. Her enthusiasm was a little dampened by all the trouble they had finding herbs at the beginning of her training. It happened so much she started to worry that maybe StarClan was telling them she was going to be a bad medicine cat. But Blue Ears' determination and pride in her helped her keep going. Her mentor even made sure she helped treat patients and would go out of her way to show Piper Paw just how much she knew. She really found her confidence after Blue Ears took her to go climb a juniper tree so they could gather some of it. She was terrified, especially after her mother's luck with falling branches. But Blue Ears climbed it first and encouraged her the whole way. By the time they were done, she realized she loves climbing, and now climbs any chance she can get. She loves the thrill and the view, and since neither Glow Falcon or Sky Moss are big fans of climbing, or branches, they are content to let her and her mentor handle that. She's still very close with her sister and proud of her for her skill in battle. They share prey and talk about their training and their friends and their crushes. She's also worried about her mother and the damage to her tail. She may be an apprentice, but she can tell it's pretty bad, especially after being hurt so soon after the first time. She really hopes it doesn't get infected. That's all our medicine cats, so it's time to move on to the warriors. Most old faces, but some new ones have shown up as well. Let's start off with good old Silk Creek, who is, and you will never believe this, back in the medicine den. She recovered from white cough in the first moon of the second year, and was relieved to be back on her paws. She was even more relieved when both her fellow sick cats recovered as well. She was quick to get back into sparring and patrols, but unfortunately one of her first patrols during the first moon was when Bubbling Tumble was soaked in the embankment. Her death hit Silk Creek hard, being the first death in the clan, and also one where Silk Creek felt personally responsible for it. She felt like she should have paid better attention or gotten help quicker, and if she had, maybe the younger cat would still be around. Since then, she's been a lot more attentive and careful, and that only increased after Peach Star's death from the hawk. She was on the patrol that attacked the rogues and fiercely defended her fellow clanmates. She doesn't want to lose anyone else, especially younger clanmates who should get a chance at a long life. At the same time, she's all too aware of her age and how short life can be. When she's not patrolling or sparring, she's looking after the kits. She's one of the cats to volunteer most often for watching the skies for hawks and keeping an extra eye on the younger cats. This all came to a head when a big dog was invading the territory and Silk Creek fought it off, but in the process was left with a broken bone. She's very annoyed with once again finding herself back in the medicine den, but she's relieved she was able to chase off that dog. Her ambition seems to have changed from a desire to be leader to more of a desire to protect the future, especially after Rustfeather passed away so suddenly. Getting injured again, even if it was protecting her clan, left her feeling even more frustrated than before. She's terrified of something else bad happening, to the point she started getting nightmares about the embankment where Bubbling Tumble had fallen. On a lighter note, she has found great friends in both Glowfalcon and the next warrior we'll talk about, who listen to her concerns and do their best to make her rest and relax every now and then. It helps her feel a little better, but the guilt of Bubbling Tumble's death is something that continues to haunt her, and neither her nor her friends seem to know how to help her get past it. Next up is the compassionate Neo-Chest, who joined the clan in the third moon of the year. He was a kitty pet who fled from his cruel two-leg and heard rumors about the clan while he was running around as a loner, and decided to join. While compassionate, he was very eager to learn how to fight and defend his new clanmates. His passion for sparring is what got him and Silk Creek to become friends, with both of them enjoying learning and testing each other during their sparring matches. They quickly fit into the clan and, with their open kindness and good listening skills, became someone anyone could talk to, including with love. They're the ones who helped Trickleblaze figure out how she feels about romance, and comforted Blue Ears about her own emotions towards Cinderglint. He really respects the warrior code too, but not to a crazy strict degree. He's the type that believes the code should be followed unless there's a better, more morally good way to end a conflict or a dangerous situation. He's also been really good on hunting patrols, and showed his bravery in helping chase off a dog that was on the border. He also likes to help the medicine cats around, whether that's escorting them to herbs or organizing their stores. All in all, he just really loves clan life because of the connections to the others and the sense of community. After the cruelty of his old two legs, it's so nice to have a home and a family he can rely on through thick and thin. He's even considering becoming a mediator for the clan, or joining Blue Ears and being a part-time medicine cat. He's not sure. All he knows is that he wants to help his new clan in any way he can. Despite his compassion, there are some cats he struggles to get along with, the main cat specifically being Darkclaw. You may all remember him as the ex-kitty pet Tigger, who was also one of 3 cats sick last year. His green cough actually became yellow cough, but I don't know if that's possible in-game. I think it may have happened because when there was like a big update for the game that came out, and a lot of things got messed with a little bit. Not too many things that I felt worried, but enough that I was like, oh, that wasn't how that was before. But he survived, which, considering it switched into yellow cough, which is worse than green cough, I was worried he wouldn't, but he did. His first action after he recovered was requesting a name change from Peach Star, and he became Darkclaw, which was a name suggestion by Selena Lulamoon1167, so thank you very, very much for that. Unfortunately, his bloodthirsty nature hasn't really made him many friends in a peaceful clan like RubbleClan. He's still holding on to his anger towards his two-leg and refuses to let go of it, to the point of trying and failing to tear off the collar around his neck. The anger has slowly stopped being focused on one thing and is beginning to leak out into the rest of his interactions. He gets angry easily and tends to lash out instead of thinking things through. He causes fights on patrols, hunts outside borders, and fights too violently in battles. He isn't completely reckless, though. He's good at catching prey and chasing off threats, and he fought with Peach Star to chase off rogues and really respected her, especially since it was right after her death with the Hawks. But his anger still drives him the most. When Peach Star went to visit the kitty pet Ace, he saw her eating some of the kitty pet food and was furious. He yelled at her and at Ace and lost a lot of respect for her that day. He sees all kitty pets as weak and soft and doesn't understand the clan's insistence on treating Ace with such respect. He still respects Peach Star and her leadership, but any friendship between them quickly fell apart after that. He also has quite a difficult relationship with Neo-Chest, a kitty pet who came from a similar circumstance as him. He doesn't understand how Neo-Chest can be so positive and friendly after what he went through, and doesn't respect him because of it. Neo-Chest is still respectful to him, but Darkclaw can tell that Neo-Chest doesn't like him, and thinks that the cat shouldn't get the right to judge him when they still act like a kitty pet and wear that stupid collar. This anger means he hasn't really bonded with many people. Even when people try, he sees it as pity and lashes out. It seems like ego, but it's also the pain of betrayal, and the fear of being abandoned all over again. Despite his rough year, he has shown his hidden heart a few times as well. It turns out he has a soft spot for kits. He plays fights with them, and he lets them win, and encourages them in anything they try. Peach Star and others like her see this, and hope that over time he'll let go of his anger and allow that side of himself to blossom, but only time will tell. Next up is Trickleblaze, who continues to be a powerful warrior and a girl boss. After last year, where she took on a fox to save Flaxpaw and beat it without injury, she decided to one-up that this year by taking on a large dog to save a kit and also taking it down without a scratch. She also got a major win this year and got her first apprentice. She was really nervous at first, but Timberpaw's excitement was infectious and helped inspire her, and the fact that Dashnudge agreed she would be a good choice. She taught the cat all of her tricks in battle and how to hunt well, and they even chased off a rogue together after Timberpaw tracked it. She is super proud of her apprentice, and when they got their warrior name, she was the loudest in the crowd, next to Dashnudge, of course. She's been the one catching the most prey on hunting patrols and is always ready to jump into battle if need be. Another thing she did this year was discovering she's Arrow Ace. With all the love drama going on, she spoke with Newchest about her confusion and uncertainty, and how she isn't sure how she feels about certain things, and how she's worried her lack of interest in romance was a bad thing. Newchest helped her realize that what she feels isn't bad, and she doesn't need a mate and kids to be part of the clan. The clan already loves Trickleblaze for who she is. She feels a lot more sure of herself, her feelings, and her place in the clan after that, and is even more enthusiastic than before. She plans to continue serving her clan, hopefully train some more apprentices, and, well, she wouldn't mind a shot at deputy someday. Now on to the careful Dashnudge, who is doing pretty good. He's still mourning his son, Rustfeather, whose sudden death shook him more than anything has in a long while. Thankfully, his 4 other kits were there for him, and they were able to comfort each other and share memories of Rustfeather together at the clan vigil, and one they had together. Speaking of his kits, he's super proud of all of them. Though 2 of them are still apprentices, he is looking forward to the day they have their ceremony. When Tipperpaw and Rustpaw became warriors, he was purring so loud his clanmates were surprised there wasn't an earthquake from it. He is now a proud grandpa as well. His adoptive son Puddlethorn now has a mate and a litter of his own, and Dashnudge couldn't be happier. When it comes to mates, Dashnudge hasn't been left behind either. You may have guessed it already, but he and Peachstar are mates. They are cavity-inducing levels of sweet. He gave Peachstar some of the berries he wears for her own pelt, which she gave him in the first place. I've also been checking the relationship tab every moon, and I got one that said Peachstar is the only cat that can make Dashnudge laugh, and that Peachstar snuck out of the leader's den to cuddle with Dashnudge in his nest. At one point, Swallowmallow just told them to move into the leader's den together since Peachstar snores and it was driving him crazy. They take moonlit strolls together, watch the sunset. They are exceedingly adorable. I'm so happy for them. Another thing we've learned about Dashnudge this year is that he is big brain. He is very much the idea guy. He was the one that set up a stakeout to see if a badger was on their territory, and also gathered porcupine needles to use for the camp defenses. He is super smart and works a lot with his fellow careful cat Swallowmallow to keep the clan safe. He is a well-respected warrior who is happy to have found a community and created a beautiful family of his own, and he'd never trade any of it for anything in the world. Cinderglint is up next. You've already heard a bit about her during Blue Ears section, but there's plenty more to tell. This gal survived Yellow Cough as well, which the game also changed. Then spent the first 4th of the year covered in fleas, and still has remained just as shameless as ever. She managed to get rid of her fleas just in time to become a mentor of Poseypaw. Unfortunately, she hasn't gotten many chances to do actual teasing because of Poseypaw getting injured and Cinderglint giving birth to her kits. Speaking of said kits, she has 2. Thrush Kit, who is the spitting image of his great-grandma and mom, and Squirrel Kit, who is a little bit fluffier than all of them. She hasn't answered any questions about where the kits came from or who she had them with, and pointed out to those questioning her, mainly Darkclaw and Silk Creek, that Dashnudge did the exact same thing, so why is she getting pestered more than him? Dashnudge and Little Knight laughed so hard that they nearly choked on their prey. The questions stop after that. Both of her kids are already following in her footsteps of being absolute goofballs, but Squirrel Kid especially. That little punk even woke up Flaxheart in the middle of the night to ask her questions about snails. Cinderglint couldn't be prouder, but beside her kits and her apprentice, the thing that's been on her mind most is Blue Ears. She may be shameless, but she's also a warrior, an observant one. She loves seeing her best friend in the nursery, and is happy her kits adore Blue Ears, and that her best friend is always willing to play with them, but she can also tell Blue Ears is sad, and she isn't sure why. But she wants to help, so she's been doing her best to keep a closer eye on Blue Ears to see if there's any chance of seeing what is bothering her friend. And during those observations, Cinderglint suddenly felt her heart flutter as she realized just how kind, talented, and beautiful Blue Ears is. Her fluffy fur, her cute little blep tongue. Yup, in the last moon of the year, Cinderglint suddenly started to fall for Blue Ears back. But is it too late for anything to truly blossom? Only time will tell, but I'm rooting for them, and so is Little Knight. The next 2 warriors I'm going to talk about together. We have Puddlethorn and Flaxheart, whose name was suggested by user JH3BN1GH1T with a very cute description of it being because of how she stood up for Puddlethorn when he was a kit when the older cats were being mean to him. Such an adorable idea. I had to use it. Thank you so much. That's right. Those 2 have made up and then some. They were struggling towards the beginning of the year, both of them not exactly good at communicating after all they'd been through. Thankfully, Dashnudge and Swallowmallow noticed their behavior and began to plot. They just so happened to pair the two cats on patrol together, and if they were there, would just so happen to see something in the distance and go to investigate, leaving the two cats to work together and break the tension between them. They were pretty obvious about it, but it worked. Their friendship blossomed, and then Flaxheart's crush returned in full force. But being a bit childish still, she couldn't find the courage to admit it outright. Instead, she took Puddlethorn aside one day and asked about how, hypothetically, if they were interested in another warrior, how one might possibly maybe go about talking to them about it, hypothetically for a friend, of course. Puddlethorn immediately called her a mousebrain and then asked her out. They've been mates for most of the year and absolutely adore each other. She's been the only one who laughs at Puddlethorn's lame jokes and he purrs for a long time at hers. They're just absolutely adorable, nearly as cavity-inducing as Peachstar and Dashnudge. They're also parents now. They have 3 beautiful kits, Crane Kit, Bramble Kit, and Prim Kit. Their kits are pretty cute, but 2 of them are brats, especially Bramble Kit. That little punk told Piperpaw that nobody likes her. Who says that? Where did this anger come from? You are like 2 months old baby child. But their parents are working to stop this behavior, especially Puddlethorn, who knows what it's like to get bullied. He doesn't want his kits to continue that cycle. Besides their kits, they've also become mentors this year. Flaxheart got Rustpaw and Puddlethorn got Serpentpaw. They've both been really good mentors, though the loss of Rustfeather really hurt them both. Thankfully, they aren't alone. Flaxheart has been fully accepted into the growing Dashnudge family, and is overjoyed with how much love there is to go around. After being orphaned in the earthquake, it is everything she could have wanted. And she is so happy her kits can grow up with that love. Puddlethorn also feels a lot more comfortable in the clan, and a little less pressured to prove himself with his family surrounding him. He and some of the older clanmates don't get along still, but he's getting better at ignoring that. He doesn't need their approval. He'll become the best warrior he can be for himself and no one else. Now it's time for Timberquill, one of Dashnudge's children and the 3rd to become a warrior after Puddlethorn and Rustfeather. She was apprenticed to Trickleblaze and was a huge fan of the older warrior. It's hard not to be. Every kid heard stories about the cat who had taken on a fox and a big dog and came out with no scratches. Timberpaw really looked up to her and wanted to be just like her. She's also still very much a daddy's girl, and is always very excited to show off her new battle moves or share prey with Dashnudge. She was actually on the same patrol as him when they found the porcupine, and helped him gather quills for the clan's defenses. She thinks porcupines are really cool, and her fascination with them was what led to Peachstar giving her the suffix quill, in honor of her intensity, which fit way too well. She was also on patrol with both her dad and her mentor when they came across a large dog, and just like Peachstar did later in the year, she led the dog away from the borders, using the bravery taught to her by Trickleblaze and the cleverness inherited from Dashnudge to get as far as she did. Her clan was super proud of her, and she soaked up their purrs and praise happily. She also became really close with her brother, Rustfeather, after they both became warriors. His death hit her hard, and even though it was from illness, pushed her to work even harder. She wanted to become an amazing cat he could look down on from StarClan with pride. She has become a very bold and ambitious cat, and believes she's made for something greater. And while one day she would love to be leader, she doesn't want Peachstar to die for it. That's her dad's mate after all, and she knows Peachstar is just as amazing as Trickleblaze. So, for now, she's fine with being awesome and gaining plenty of stories to tell the younger cats until the chance of being a deputy comes up. The last of the Dashnudge kits are Serpentpaw and Poseypaw, who, yes, I know, are literally the exact same drawing mirrored. I know, but these two are literally exactly the same still. Their sprites are the same except for their colors. They also have the same personality, the same dark stripe down their back, literal twins in almost every sense of the word. So basically, they're the 2 menaces of the clan, twins that cause trouble and play pranks and have absolutely no regrets. They'll take scoldings and punishments with pride, all while planning their next prank with meticulous detail. Poseypaw was apprenticed to Cinderglint, while Serpentpaw was apprenticed to her big brother Puddlethorn. A few cats felt that was a little unfair, but the 2 kits' troublesome tendencies were best left to cats who could handle it. Poseypaw, unfortunately, has spent most of her apprenticeship in the medicine den after she snuck out of camp and got caught in a 2-leg trap and was badly injured. She didn't seem to learn her lesson either, as she got caught in another one, but thankfully it was only a sprain the second time around. In the few moons she's actually been able to patrol, she's gotten some successes. She chased off a small dog and was on the same patrol as Hickorypaw, Dashnudge, and a few others as they fought off a large group of rats. She's also been thinking about love a lot, including having a mate in kits. She doesn't have any crushes yet, but I'm keeping an eye on the relationships tab because I can totally see her as the type to be so smart and snarky but a complete mess in stumbling over her words when it comes to love. As for Serpentpaw, her apprenticeship has been a little more rough. On her first patrol with Puddlethorn, they found a dead kitty pet on the side of the Thunderpath after its 2 legs abandoned them, which really shook her up for a while. Thankfully, that was the most harrowing thing to happen to her on patrol so far. She has a sweet side to her too. She's left fresh kill and for the kits in the nursery. She likes to help her dad with reinforcing the camp defenses. Serpent Paw's favorite patrol so far was learning tree climbing and listening to Puddlethorn tell a story about how the clan was formed while they all relaxed in the tree. As for why she's still an apprentice, I've come up with a little bit of lore for that. She and her sister were really heartbroken after their brother's death, and she wanted to cheer Posy Paw up. So she used red berries and messed up her fur and pranked the clan into thinking there was a coyote attack right after a patrol had seen one, causing a mass panic in the camp until people realized it was a prank. This did cheer up Posy Paw, but not many others thought it was funny. She was made to stay an apprentice as an extra moon as punishment, but she didn't mind. It made her laugh, and it made her sister smile again. They love their dad very much, and are happy he found a mate in Peach Star. And they may or may not brag a lot about the fact their leader is their new mom. Not that that keeps them out of trouble. They're close with Timberquill too, but their sister is a lot more serious and focused on warrior duties. They feel like she forgot how to have fun, and wish she would loosen up a little. As the end of the year approaches, they're still apprentices, but don't mind it all. They know they'll be warriors soon, and they hope their clan realizes that this doesn't mean the pranks are gonna stop anytime soon. Hickory Paw is the last of the apprentices. She is Sky Moss's other daughter and on track to become a warrior. She was an adventurous little kit and is really interested in bugs. She caught a moth while outside of camp and wears the wings proudly. She calls it her first successful hunt. Peach Star decided to mentor her personally, which made her super excited. It may have gone to her head a little bit, as she's become more of a strict cat who tends to try and boss around the other apprentices. But most of it comes from trying to emulate her mentor. She really admired how the soft-spoken leader managed to keep the clan together and keep the peace, which means she definitely does not like Darkclaw for how he acts towards her. She took a part in the badger stakeout and fought off the rats and was very dedicated in her training. She's not a fan of her fellow apprentices besides her sister, as she sees both Posy and Serpent as immature, especially after their little coyote prank. She prefers to spend time with Timberquill and enjoys giving the kits in the nursery badger rides. She is very excited for her warrior ceremony, and one of the few playful things she still does is trying to guess what Peach Star is going to name her. They have a really cute relationship. She really looks up to the leader and hopes she can be a great warrior and make her mentor proud. She also still really likes bugs, and is one of the few cats who will always indulge Squirrel Kit in her bug-related questions, and keeps an eye out for any on patrol she might be able to bring back to camp to show the curious Kit. Low-key, she's kind of hoping to apprentice her one day. She'd really like that. I will also talk about Little Knight and Weasel Knight together, since they really haven't done much of anything this year, but hey, they're retired. They're entitled to do nothing. Good for them. Weasel Knight still has a little bit of energy and doesn't like staying cooped up in the camp for very long. She likes to take walks outside the camp and boss around the younger cats, as it seems some of Little Knight's sass is rubbing off on her. She's still really close to her old apprentice Blue Ears and enjoys telling stories to the kits. She also seems to really like Serpent Paw, and after getting over the initial shock, actually thought the prank was pretty sweet considering who it was done for. Other than that, she hasn't done much, like I said. She very much enjoys laying in the sun and relaxing, and she still gives advice when asked, but she's happy that Peach Star's visits are more to chat than for advice. She's happy the leader has really grown into her position. As for Little Knight, she's continued to be shameless and lazy and doesn't care what other people think about her. She's also super happy to be a great-grandma, even if it was a surprise. She did get pranked by the Disaster Twins at the beginning of the year, but took it in stride and got them back later. She also got lavender from Blue Ears and loves wearing it. Her joints have been aching a bit more, but she doesn't let that stop her from playing with her grandkits. She also had a win this year because she tossed a snake out of camp before it could bite someone, which is another story she likes to add to the one she tells the younger cats. They complain about it whenever she does tell it because they were there, but she tells it anyways because she enjoys messing with them. And as happy as she is for her daughter, she also feels a bit bad for Blue Ears. She had been rooting for them since the beginning and feels bad, especially since she also kept completely out of the loop about these surprise kits. But she knows her granddaughter doesn't owe them an explanation, and she's glad Blue Ears knows that too, and that her granddaughter still has her best friend. But then, at the end of the year, Cinderglen finally came up to her, admitted that she thinks she might have a crush on Blue Ears, and what should she do? It took everything Little Knight had not to laugh or slam her head into the rocks at the ridiculousness of it all. At the moment, she's currently trying to encourage her granddaughter, saying that if she likes Blue Ears, then tell her. Not only because she knows both of them like each other, but one of them has to be the one to take the first step. But she also wants more grandkids, dang it! And that's it for all the RubbleClan cats. However, there is one more cat I have yet to speak about. At the very end of the year, a cat was found by a RubbleClan patrol in the frozen snow. They quickly brought the cat back to camp and were able to save his life. One day, Dashnudge went into the den to check on the medicine cats and see if they needed any help, and locked eyes with this stranger, and they both froze in shock. He recognized this cat. It was Partridge Snap from HoundClan, and Partridge Snap recognized him too, as Hushstar's oldest son. Dun dun dun! I've been waiting to drop that lore for a while. Those of you who have watched my HoundClan video may have caught it sooner, but yeah, Dashnudge is Hushstar's eldest, the one who tried to stop his coup. I decided this was the case because Olive Paw looks exactly like Dashnudge, and Hushstar has the blue eyes that Dashnudge has on his sprite. It all fit too well, and it added too much drama, so it had to be done. But how will this affect things in the future? Who knows? Well, I do, because I've played through Year 2 for all 4 clans, and we've got some more drama in HoundClan. But what's that all about? You'll have to wait until the HoundClan video to find out. Same with the other clans, because for reasons I will not explain right now, their updates need to be done with HoundClan, but you'll have to wait for that. I do hope you enjoyed this, though. It was so much fun drawing all these guys again, and I'm so psyched to do more HoundClan next and see what Year 3 has to bring. If you have any name ideas for the kits and apprentices, let me know. I'd love to hear them. I'll see you all again when HoundClan's video comes out, whenever that is. Until then, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing and checking out my channel. Remember to take care of yourself, watch out for plot twists, and have a good day.